Thanks everyone for joining the Future Proof podcast. This is Alex Meisnick. I'm here with Tina Krebs. We are going to be talking about new construction and how we are managing our current client database instead of actually going after new clients, just loving on the clients that we already have in our system. So Tina, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were talking a little bit about, new construction. I know that you not recently, I mean, you've been doing new construction for a while, but it's kind of a love and a passion of yours. Can you kind of, explain to me or, everyone like what just drives you and what do you love about new construction and helping that with the client through that process?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always loved new construction. I've always loved the smell of wood. Honestly, I've spent many, many hours just walking through a Home Depot in the wood department just because I like the smell of it, as weird as that sounds. I used to take my kids when they were little through it, and they're like, "Mommy, can we please go home?" But I like seeing in the models for sure. I love seeing all the new stuff that Stone Cottage Construction specifically, who I represent, is actually building. And I don't know, it's just the chase for me is to help someone find that perfect plan, that perfect home that they want to walk through. The floor plan, we have many. We can also, because we are custom, we can draw it from scratch and there's everything in between. So walking them through the steps of being able to say, this is what I like, this is what I really want here, and then watch that come to life as they move through all the plans and as they move through the selections, when they pick their colors, all their fixtures. It's very rewarding to me to watch them walk through that. And it's kind of an honor for me to walk through it with them because that's more than likely not the last house they're going to build, but in some cases it is the last house they're going to build and they're building it out for themselves. So that's what kind of drives me. New construction itself, I just like the whole process of it. I like the fact that you can take a piece of dirt and make it beautiful.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, I mean, what's a little bit of a obviously the client journey is a whole separate thing. And that's obviously I think that's really where you love and where you get most of your joy out is the actual client journey. But the process of new construction is much different than buying an existing home. So, off the top of your head, what's the really big differences someone should watch out for with building a new home versus, buying an existing property?
Well, we were just talking about that earlier. Like, there's different ways that you can build a house. You can build a home with, say, a national builder where there's not a lot of choices. They're going to build the house that is going to fit on that lot. They're going to tell you what the color scheme is, or you'll be able to pick from a couple. You have to decide which floor plan you want to go to. And there's no changing that. There's some semi-custom builders that are out there that are not national, but that are local. There's some play in what you can do with it and a little more selections as far as color schemes and, fixtures and things like that. And then there's custom. So I guess educating yourself, if you're thinking about doing anything with new construction, building your next house, I would really make sure that either the agent that you're working with or come see us, come see me so that I can walk you through those different kinds of new construction because they are very, very different. A lot of people think, oh, I can just walk into a builder and I'm going to be able to, build my own house. I don't need representation. I don't need anything. I don't need anybody. And that's really not true. If you're walking into a national builder, they're there to help you, but not to the extent that an actual buyer agent would. So that's a lot of downfall there. A lot of clients fall into that. It's like, well, I don't even know what I'm doing. And that person that they're speaking to at that builder, mainly nationals, they're looking out for the national builder. They're not looking out for the client so much. So that's something that I would caution people on, making sure you're bringing a realtor with you.
Yeah. Well, also too, making sure you're bringing the realtor with you the first time because I've even seen instances where my clients and as the mortgage loan officer, maybe you referred someone to me and, we were working with them and then they, on a Saturday just got a great idea to go look at a Lennar home and walked in there and talked to a representative. And if they buy a home now from that representative, they won't even let you represent them. Like they basically like take that client. So that's something
Yeah.
to be cognizant about too. So, on our end with, lending wise, the big difference between like a custom builder or one that you're going to go with either like a national brand, we won't call anyone out, even though I just did. the biggest thing for me is, a lot of those loans that you're going to be getting for a national builder is much different than what you would be doing with like your custom build. For instance, most of those are already pre-done homes. They own the land. They basically foot the cost for the build and the construction. And then you just come in as me as a lender or the client. They just basically do like a normal, conventional FHA, VA loan at the end of it. With your custom homes, the process on your end and with your lender and builder, you guys are doing, construction loans. What are some things on your end as a realtor that you've seen that is, important to kind of think about that too as well in that process?
I think it's going to depend on the within the financing, just making sure that you're dealing with a lender who knows new construction loans really well, and someone who knows the creative ways to construct a construction loan, if that is not no pun intended. Because there's lots of different ways. There's a couple programs out there now where they can give you an origination fee that's like 0.75%, which is huge. 5.99% financing on the construction loan itself. A one-time close versus a two-time close, which is huge. With a one-time close, I'm sure you're familiar. There's only one set of closing costs, which is a big savings. If you have a two-time close meaning you're going to close on the construction loan, then you're going to close on the mortgage after the home is built. Then you get another set of closing costs. So picking out that mortgage person, that financing person is going to be huge. And then just having them know the construction well. With a construction loan, you do only pay, it's very similar to a HELOC. You pay a percentage of interest on what you're actually using. So there's draws that we work really closely with the bank that comes from what you've been approved for. Oftentimes, construction loans are a little bit higher in interest rate, but in the long run, you can get a credit back on that. And I don't want to speak too far out of stock, but I know if we as a builder are going to finance the whole deal, say someone walks in and they love this lot, they know exactly what house they want to build. So we're going to move down through the process. We're going to sit down. We're going to get all the plans set. We're going to get all the pricing set. We'll go to CAD. We'll sign contracts, and then that construction loan kicks in. We're going to work really closely with that bank. The first draw is going to be a certain percentage, and then you're going to pay interest on that as a client. And then the next draw, after, at least with the builder I work with, the next draw is going to come after some work is done and we're ready to move to different set of subs. That's going to be another draw to pay those subs. And then you're paying interest on that particular total, to where at the end, why it's really important to have a one-time close, then you're only going to have one set of closing costs by the end of that. I think for the client to carry the loan, because there could be possibly some lender credits come back to the client if we're not financing. If we're financing the whole build, including the lot, then we're going to have the carrying costs. We're going to need to pass that on within the pricing. So we really encourage a really good lender, someone that can do a one-time close, a decent interest rate, and then carry that loan and, let us build something of really good quality for you.
Yeah, well, that's actually a really good thought though too, because I've had clients that actually one just closed not too long ago with Stone Cottage that there was really no way. We were just over leveraged at the beginning. He had to sell a home. Debt to income ratio wouldn't, there was no chance it would work, so we basically worked it out with, Troy and all them to actually have them finance everything. They bought the
Hmm.
land up front using like a HELOC on the home. But then at the end, I just came in and did the end loan and, they charged him, a fee for it and everything like that to, do the finance. But at the end of the day, now he's in a home that he loves for a little bit more expensive and, he's absolutely loving it. So that's really, I don't think that's super common with a lot of custom builders as well. I mean, there's probably, a select few that do it, but they probably want to be on the hook for having, a entire build or whatever on their books too. So that's really good. I think the other thing on that, what you were speaking about was, I think one thing that people don't know is that when you buy a new construction home or you're buying a lot that you want, someone to finance or that you want to build a home on, typically you either buy the home cash up front or you can do a construction loan that finances in the land as well. But one thing that people don't know is if you own land before and let you own it outright, you can actually use the equity in that land as your down payment for the
Mhm.
construction, which is really nice. I don't think almost everyone that I talk to, you know, for the for the actual clients, they don't know that and they're kind of blown away. So that's something to really think about.
Yeah. Well, and that's why it's so really important to have a really good lender who has the creativity behind them and the experience behind them to figure those kinds of things out. Construction loan is not such a cut and dry kind of like a straight mortgage. You have to be a little bit creative, and sometimes you have to do things outside of what the norm is in order to make all the numbers work and to make the clients happy and get them in what
Absolutely.
they need. So it's pretty important. The lender portion is very important.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Now, the process of it covered that. Obviously, it's, exciting and everything like that, but like you said, your more main focus and what you really love is that journey of the client. Now, why do you see, I mean, obviously, if you take a new first-time home buyer that's buying an existing home from a seller and all that stuff, and you get to see some joy and, that process. What's different when makes it so much better for you or more memorable having the involvement of like actually creating the home or going through the design and the build and that process? What's just more rewarding in that aspect of it than like a existing home?
I think it's just watching their dream come alive. And I know that sounds really cliche and really hokey, but it's like you can see it on their face. Like they walk in, I meet them for the first time, say they walk into a model and they're looking around. They don't want to be sold anything. So, you're not going to walk up and say, "Hey, I can build you a house." You've got to have some rapport. You've got to talk with them. You got to find out what they want. And you can just see their defenses slowly coming down. Then you have that first meeting with them. Okay, what's your budget? What are you looking for? What are you looking to do? What's your timeline? And that's kind of what I do next before we actually sit down and talk with Troy or Brian. Is just kind of build a little bit more rapport with them first and just make sure that what they want is feasible. Some people walk in and they want to build a $600,000 house, but they love this particular neighborhood. Well, the cheapest house in there is 800,000. So part of my job in there is to see if they fit in a specific neighborhood. And if they don't, then the beauty of what I do also on another sidetrack is that I can take them someplace else to where they would be able to afford what they're wanting to do. So I could still help them with that. But then say, their budget is what it needs to be, then we move forward and then they're like, "Okay, this is getting a little bit exciting." And you can their faces change. You can see their demeanor change. You're your new best friend for a good bit of the time because you're their contact person. You sit down with Troy, you start drawing everything out, and the excitement just continues to build. And oftentimes we have, 2 or 3 drawing meetings to just make sure everything is set. Couple Zooms to go through pricing to make sure everything is where they need it budget wise. And then when we sign those contracts, it's like, I am so excited. When can I pick all this stuff out for my house?
Yeah.
And I guess if there's one point that is the most exciting is that meeting. So when I go to that selection meeting in our offices, they're just so stoked. They're so excited. There's what color can I pick? What do I want to do? Do I want to do this? They all become HGTV people. And it's just so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
And then having to move in and yeah, it's just it's that whole journey, just watching them go from I'm scared to death to build to I can't believe I just did this and 6 months later I have my dream home. And
Yeah.
it just makes it nice.
Well, especially watching like plans go to, like the framing and then drywall and having them be able to watch like the whole
Mhm.
journey and actually even like know like, oh yeah, when I'm putting this TV up, I actually know what's behind that wall and like, but how detailed you guys are, especially the Drossia Realty group with handling that, like doing, how many like walkthroughs do you periodically do through the build with them?
I like to do well with the clients actually in Stone Cottage, we do an electrical walkthrough. We do the pre-sheetrock, and then I just take them anytime they want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oftentimes, they just kind of walk in anytime they want to. I personally, on my builds, I'm there usually at least every week. Sometimes I don't make it 1 week, but I'm usually there within 7 to 10 days of each one. And I just like to go through. A funny thing happened. We were doing a completely custom build out in Prior Lake, and it took us a little while to do it. But this guy wanted a golf simulator, and he wanted it in his lower level, and he wanted it lower than the rest of the lower level. So that means, you got to dig out the foundation a little bit deeper, pour concrete. But he also wanted his saltwater fish tank to be right next to the golf simulator. And we're like, dude, you got to think this a little bit through. Let's not do that. But he wanted it built in, so we moved it from the sidewall to the hallway wall where you could still see it. Well, on a walkthrough, I'm walking through, and I knew that change had been made. And so I'm walking through and I'm looking at the framing. It wasn't sheetrocked or anything yet, but the framing didn't look right. It didn't look like there was a place for this built-in fish tank. So I'm on the phone with them. I'm like, did you change it? Well, I didn't get a hold with them, but I did get a hold of the builders. And I'm like, did they change this? Because this isn't here. So that's some of the benefits of being able to have someone in your corner when you're building is a good agent with worth their salt is going to be walking that plan, making sure that everything is the way that it's supposed to be. And that's also the reason why we sit through all those building meetings, all the sketches and all the changes in the plan. So we know what's going on with it. So then when it starts going up, this isn't right. We need to change this or, whatever. It happened that they did make the change. They decided, let's just not put it anywhere near the golf simulator, which was probably a better choice. And so it was all good. It's things like that that you can have a hands-on with your clients. It's kind of very similar though, Alex, when you're dealing with like new people, first time home buyers, and you're helping them find a regular house, just regular real estate. I call it real estate. Instead of new construction real estate, it's kind of the same process. You're still there holding their hand, but you're showing them things that they've never thought of before. And so I think it's for me just client base across the board, whether it's pre-existing homes or if it's new construction homes, it's the discovery period of that person and their journey and what makes them tick and what makes them happy.
Oh, good.
That's kind of the base for me.
Yeah, well, now we're talking about clients, so it kind of goes into my next topic. So what, and maybe not what sets you apart, or what do you really pride yourself on with your current clients or your like basically your database? So the ones that are currently in the journey or your, previous clients, kind of what do you do to kind of really love on them and just make sure that you're staying in touch with them and that they're going to use you in, 1 to 5 years or 10 years? Because I mean, I think I saw a recent study that most homeowners don't even use the same agent that they used to buy their first home because either that agent didn't reach out to them past the initial close and never stayed in touch. So they kind of forgot about them. And when they went to go buy a new home, they just went on Zillow and got a new, realtor contact and just moved on and never
Hmm.
thought again. So what do you do to really make sure that, your clients are your family and, or, like always use you in the future?
I think a couple things. So I do like to follow up with them. I do like to keep in touch with them. I send everybody in my database something for Christmas. That of clients that have actually closed with me. I usually send them a caribou card, just a small little caribou card, a little bomb saying hey. But I've also invited them to a lot of the stuff that Drossia Realty Group provides for us, which is awesome. The Santa Day was awesome. The Pie Day, we had tons of people come through when we did that. The fall party that's coming up. I mean, just being on the phone with them, hey, you guys got to bring your whole family because it's just going to be an awesome time. We're going to have really great food and just really talking with them and inviting them to the things that we're putting on. And then, like we were talking a little earlier, like just having a small group so that we can all connect of, say, an open house lead referred 5 other people to me. And now we're this little cohesive group that we can all get together. We can all share because we all know each other. All right, let's go have some drinks. Let's go have a party. Let's go out to eat. Let's just go dine and wine and dine, or let's just get together and catch up. I think I have found that that continues to build a friendship and continues to build the rapport. Other people, you're not going to be best friends with everybody, and that's never my goal. But there are some clients that I've had that they don't wanna do that. Totally fine. So, I just stay in touch with them. I send them something usually every 2 to 3 months just to say, "Hey, how's it going? Is there anything I can help you with?" Oftentimes, people will reach out to me, "Hey, what do I do about this?" There's this one lady, she's like, "My taxes just went up again. I can't believe it. What's going on with that?" Like, I can't do anything about it, but they're venting to me because I help them get into their first house. And so honestly, it starts with that very first meeting,
Yep.
with building the rapport, with being there for them through the entire process, with making sure that they know they can come to you no matter what, and you're going to fix it. And then you're going to do your best to fix it. You're going to answer your phone when it rings. You're going to get back to them within 5 to 10 minutes if it's possible. If not, you're going to text them and say, "I'll call you at this time." It's being present with your clients even after you've closed. That's kind of what I do. I just like to reach out. I have a I like to think I have a pretty good follow-up game. So in that way, I think I am a little bit ahead of the game because I'm forever following up with people, forever contacting people.
It's funny. I have a in my CRM or my client management, system, whatever we use. I had a campaign for following up with my past clients just to kind of stay in touch with them. And I never noticed it was I edited a lot of it to be more like me and sound more like me, but I missed one of them. Like at like month 7, it just sent them this weird text message like, "Hey, what kind of coffee do you like?" Or, "Hey, it's your favorite, loan officer. What kind of do you prefer coffee or tea?" Blah, blah, blah. But then it turned out to something actually really cool because now I used it as a positive thing. So the people that actually respond to that, and I get notified that they saw the text message, they read it, and then they'll always send me like, "Yeah, I'm a huge, Caribou coffee person, or I'm a Starbucks fan." I send them like 2 weeks later. And when I see that message, I'll put a note in there for 2 weeks later to send them a gift, an electronic gift card for Caribou or Starbucks or wherever they said. That gets even like great response too, because now
That's
they're
cool.
thinking that was a really weird, out of the blue question, and then they get a gift card for it. So it's kind of cool. And then, yeah, I mean, I think that touches on a lot. I mean, it really just shows that, you really, really client focused and that you really love your clients and love that journey. And that's probably the most important thing. I think that in this time in real estate, it's imperative that you are relationship based versus transactional, because I don't think that transactional is going to get you that far, especially with, everything happening in this market and where things are
Yeah.
headed.
I mean, it can
So,
make you a lot of money, but it'll only make you a lot of money quick. And
well,
then what do you do?
or one
Or
time.
or one time, and then it won't. Yeah,
And then you're constantly fighting and trying to scramble for your next client versus I think that, you obviously watched and got mentored by, the best in the business at it is if you love on your clients that you have in your system, you'll have clients for life versus having them for a little bit, turning away, not following up with them, not sending them little thoughtful gifts like that, or seeing that they have an anniversary and, sending them a gift card to their favorite restaurant. You're always going to be looking for that client again. And it's going to be a revolving cycle.
yeah, I mean, Alex, honestly, I'm getting too old, and I don't wanna be chasing.
Yeah, for sure.
I just wanna love on the people I have.
Well, great. Well, where can people find you? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok? You dancing on there? What's going on?
I don't dance on TikTok. I don't dance anymore, actually, but you can find me on Facebook. You can always just reach out to me, Tina Krebs, drealtg.com. I've got a website, Tina Krebs at eXp Realty. Yeah, I'm on Facebook. I am on Instagram. Look me up, Tina Krebs Realtor. And yeah, you'll see my posts.
Thank you so much for joining today.
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.